What is going on, everybody? It's Francis here for the NXT UK Championship Tournament takeover nights 1 and 2. We're going to start with the United Kingdom Championship Tournament night 1, and then of course the NXT. Well, it was practically an NXT takeover night 2, which saw the NXT Tag Team titles, North American Championship, the Women's Championship, and of course the United Kingdom Championship all on the line. We had a surprise return in night 2. But of course, we're going to talk about night 1 first. Let's get right into it. This was the second round. I started to watch the first round of the tournament, but all the matches were like 5-6 minutes, maybe 10 at the most, and I was like, not really. Nothing was there. We did have ourselves a heck of a thing, and first and foremost, Nigel McGuinness and Mauro Ranallo were on the call, which was magnificent. Percy Watson was not there, so, whatever, that was fine, didn't need to see him. And did you really realize that Percy Watson wasn't there? Probably not until I said something. But you could just tell that how much he was missed. Mauro Ranallo was missed from NXT TakeOver Chicago, too, because that show was good. Was it better than New Orleans? No. That's because Mauro Ranallo was not there. If Mauro Ranallo would have been there, things would have been completely different. The second round is Zach Gibson versus Jack Gallagher. As we start this off, we had, I have a lot of news. We had Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. Dave Mastiff and Joe Coffey are some big boys. I will tell you that right now when we get to this match. I was not surprised with who the winner was, but my word, those two beat the holy hell out of each other. We'll talk about that, as well as we had Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin, which of course Jordan Devlin, if anybody saw last year's tournament, was a returning superstar from that tournament, aka mini Finn Balor, because he looks like Finn Balor, bar none. We also had ourselves Travis Banks versus Ashton Smith. Ashton Smith, I don't know why he beat Joseph Connors in the first round. Ashton Smith, and when we get to his match with Travis Banks, it was the worst match of the tournament completely on the WWE Network. This match was pretty much a one-sided affair in Travis Banks' favor. And then I believe we also had that was it. So yeah, Ashton Smith versus Travis Banks. We had Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin, Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff, and Jack Gallagher versus Zach Gibson. Zach Gibson, of course, is Liverpool's number 1, and he was the heel for the entirety of this tournament. And of course, Joe Coffey does have a nice little bit of a heel turn, wink, wink, later on with his match with Travis Banks. But some people are saying Jack Gallagher versus Zach Gibson was the best match of the show, and I don't buy that. I honestly think Zach Gibson's match with Travis Banks later on, and yes, he does make it to the finals to take on Travis Banks, was a much better match, in my opinion. Especially since Travis Banks which it's weird to see Travis Banks as a babyface, because the last time I saw Travis Banks, I watched What Culture Pro Wrestling from mid-2016 up until it became Defiant Wrestling last year, and the last time I remember seeing Travis Banks is he was a part of the faction known as the Prestige with Ligero, Joe Coffey, and Joe Hendry as the foursome that they were, and he was a heel, so for him to play the babyface in this tournament was just weird, because he's always been more of a heel to me. And also, to other people who don't know, before Pete Dunne joined the UK division, when Pete Dunne was signed to WWE last year, he and Travis Banks were known as Strong Style Collective in What Culture Pro Wrestling, because they were hard-hitting and they could hurt you and mess you up easily. And they worked the strong style, and they were brutal. So Jack Gibson versus Jack Gallagher. Of course, this is a tournament in WWE, so they want handshakes before the matches. Of course, Jack Gibson being a total prick, as he's saying, "I'm Liverpool number 1," and of course they're not in Liverpool, so I don't know exactly what how it all was, but he was not loved here. They lock up, and a head scissors by Gibson. Gallagher takes a moment, but gets out of it. Jack playing up the crowd. Gibson's not impressed. Gibson with an arm wrench. Jack tries to get out, but Gibson stops that. Jack gets out finally. Hammerlock by Jack. Gallagher, then a leapfrog, then rolls up by Gallagher for a 2 count. Gallagher packages himself up and flips Gordon. He does his nice little roll. Like, as you've seen on the Cruiserweight class, in Cruiserweight 205 Live, Jack Gallagher, before the reinvention of the Cruiserweights, about 5, 6, 7 months ago, he turned heel, came out with his pants on, a shirt, and a vest on with a tie and his umbrella, and he turned on Cedric Alexander to form a heel team with Brian Kendrick. And he's been a heel for a while. Then, of course, when Drake Maverick became the GM, they had him take off the suits and everything, and he would wear the long pants and still be a heel. He came out to his heel music, his heelish music, but he came out with the baby blue tights instead of the rainbow tights that he used to wear. So for him to go, and him being the babyface in this was interesting, but he acted more of his babyface persona than he did his heel. He did his nice sort of roll up. He had his hand out for a shake and flipped Gibson over for a 2 count. Uppercuts by Gallagher, but Gibson drops him on the rope and drop kick. Then some ground and pound for a 2 count. Ripcord clothesline to Gallagher. Then a drop kick for a 2 count. Health nest and chin lock by Gibson, but Jack kicks out. Senton block, and Gibson works on the arm. Joint manipulation by Gibson, and I believe Nigel was like Gibson was doing this to send a message to Pete Dunne, who is the UK champion at the time, still is the UK champion. Just gonna put it out there. Armbar suplex, but Gibson taunts the crowd. Then in the corner, some punches and uppercuts to Gallagher. Gibson fires Gallagher into the corner and picks him up and does it again, sending Jack reeling. Then he just taunts at Gallagher, talking shit because he thinks he's the big man on campus. Gallagher gets tripped up and Gibson with a clothesline for a 2 count. Gibson working on the left arm. Gallagher with a forearm out of the corner, then a flurry of shots by Gallagher. Gallagher with a counter suplex counters a suplex into his own. Penalty kick by Gallagher for a 2 count. Gibson bullies Gallagher in the corner, but Jack fights him off, but Gibson kicks him on the turnbuckle, then hits a double lung blower, which looked brutal. Gallagher on the apron. Gibson brings him in and eats a drop kick. Drops Jack with a shot. Running drop kicks in the corner. Caught running Liger bomb. Jack puts him in the triangle. Gibson with the buckle bomb in the corner. Gallagher puts him back in the triangle for a 2 count. From the ref, then he flips the rope and puts Gibson in the body scissor sleeper. Drop kick misses Jack with the dive to the outside, sends Gibson back in and hits him with the drop kick in the corner for a 2 count. Headbutts blocked by Gibson, who tosses Jack into the turnbuckle, sending him outside. Gallagher beats the count, but eats a lariat, then a lung blow by Gibson for a 2 count. Gibson tries a submission, who gets out of it, but Gallagher gets out of it and hits a drop kick. Gallagher heads up the top, diving headbutt, but Gibson gets the boot up and gets the Shangri Gates, as they call it. I think the Shangri Gates, which is looks like a crab, not a Boston crab. Looks like he's going for a camel clutch, but instead of clutching the head, he clutches the left arm and just does a Kimura on him while he's sitting on his back, and he taps out. So Zach Gibson moves on to the next round. Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. I'm just going to say it. Joe Coffey's music, I hope this is just for this tournament, because Joe Coffey's music does not fit his Iron King, Iron Man gimmick. I know you can't use the Iron Man music or a riff on it like they did in the Independents, because this is WWE, which, quite honestly, if they could, please go talk to Black Sabbath and get Iron Man or something for this guy, because his nickname is the Iron Man or Iron King, whichever he's a heel or babyface. Whatever he had for this tournament was just awful. They did show Mark Coffey in the crowd, which tells you that he is also signed to the UK brand, which is great. So, other than Mustache Mountain, you were wondering who was Mustache Mountain going to end up feuding with in the UK brand when it comes to tag teams. We only knew of Mustache Mountain. Now we have Mark and Joe, the Coffey brothers, which I find ironic because I'm pretty sure they were feuding with each other in ICW lately, but this is WWE, so They shake and we are in the way, lock up. These two beat the holy hell out of each other. This was a big man's match. lock off, and they push off twice. They have a dick measuring contest where they run against the ropes trying to, shoulder block each other down. Running crossbody by both men takes both men out of the ring. Then they slowly walk to the hard cam side and run into each other again. Coffee ends up leapfrogging him. Then he gets run over by Mastiff. Mastiff sends him into the corner. Back in the ring. Coffee sent over the ropes. He headbutts Mastiff. Then a dropkick for a 2 count. Double leg takedown by Coffee, but eats an elbow in the corner. Coffee with an elbow himself. Then a leap off the top rope, but he eats a forearm. Then a senton for a 2 count. Mastiff with some elbows to Coffee's head for a 2 count. Mastiff with a headlock on Coffee as they start to trade blows. Mastiff goes for a suplex. Coffee blocks its waist lock, but Mastiff gets him off of that. Goes for the suplex again, and Coffee with a suplex himself. Coffee catches Mastiff and Coffee with a belly-to-belly suplex. And first off, Joe Coffey's no small dude. And he grabbed big, huge-ass Dave Mastiff. Anybody who doesn't know who Dave Mastiff is, look at Keith Lee, and if you know who Keith Lee is, he's a big dude. Dave Mastiff is bigger, I think Dave Mastiff is bigger than Keith Lee. He wraps his arms around him, pulls him up, and belly-to-belly suplex. It was a thing of beauty, and this was pretty much what hurt Joe Coffey for the rest of the tournament. Avalanche by Coffey. Coffey then with a German suplex for a 2 count. He hits he goes for the Black Coffee, which is the discus lariat. It is called the Black Coffee. I do not care what Nigel McGuinness called it on the fucking commentary. His discus lariat is the Black Coffee. That has been his finisher forever. Mastiff with a deadlift German for a 2 count. Pop-up to uppercut, but Mastiff with the dropkick cannonball missed in the corner. I would not. I'm telling you right now, I do not. Kevin Owens cannonball, I think I could take. But if I was sitting in the corner and I saw this big, huge guy named Dave Mastiff coming in for a cannonball, my ass is moving out of the way. I'm sorry. Just ain't happening. He missed the cannonball. He gets kicked by Coffee. Double springboard crossbody, then a Black Coffee for the 3 count. And your winner moving on is Joe Coffey. He will face the winner of Travis Banks and Ashton Smith later on. Flash Morgan Webster versus Jordan Devlin. Before the match, Devlin gets in the face of Webster. No handshake by Devlin. Devlin is playing a cocky heel. Flash Morgan Webster looks like a young Elton John cosplayer. I don't know what a mod is. I think Nigel McGuinness tried to say what a mod was, but I know what a mod is in the gaming universe. But in whatever the hell a mod is for this, he's the mod father, I guess. I never heard of what a mod is for that way. But they lock up and they're rolling along the ropes. Devlin with the slaps to Webster's face. Devlin arm drag by Webster. Devlin taking advantage of the clean breaks from Webster. Japanese arm drag by Webster, then a deep arm drag. Devlin puts inverted somersault by Webster for a 1 count. Devlin catches Webster's leg, slam, then a standing moonsault. Hits Devlin for a 2 count. Kick to the chest of Webster for a 2. Devlin with a seated abdominal stretch, but Webster back up and knee to Webster, then a super uppercut. Webster with a boot out of the corner. Head scissors takeover, then a running clothesline, then running high knee for a 2 count. Tiger driver, blocked forearm by Devlin, both men outside. Suicide dive, then another one by Webster. Webster does it weird, interesting, because he does a suicide dive between the bottom and middle rope, and then he does another one from the middle and top rope in between, and then he does a tope con hilo, which is the diving somersault over the top rope. So, interesting offense for Flash Morgan Webster. Webster up top, but Devlin crotches him on the top, and Devlin hits a Spanish fly. Beautiful, beautiful looking Spanish fly for a 2 count. Then a super kick for another 2 count. Devlin misses a moonsault. Webster hits his finisher. Could not get the name of his finisher. I tried to listen a couple times, and I just couldn't understand what he was saying, what Nigel McGuinness was saying, and that is all. Flash Morgan Webster is your winner. Then we get the worst match of the entire thing. I have no idea why Ashton Smith was even in this. He went up against Joseph Connors in the first round, and he beat Joseph Connors. But he comes out here and gets totally obliterated by Travis Banks. This match was, I think, the shortest match of the show. They lock up, and Kiwi's buzzsaw chants from the crowd. Quick start for these two. Cradle pin for Banks for a 1 count. Arm drags by Smith, then a leapfrog drop kick by Smith. Banks with shots and kicks all over Smith's body, then some more chops. Banks owning Smith at this time. Stops the plenty, then a PK kick for a 1 count. Banks with a knee to but Smith with a boot to the face. Leaping lariat, then an elbow, and he drops the back of Banks' neck on the knee. Banks sidesteps in the corner, then a running uppercuts, then a kick to Smith's knee, sending him into the corner, then drop kicks to the back of Smith's head in the corner for a 2 count. Smith with a sit on Banks' face. I honestly thought when they did this thing and like Banks fell backwards and Ashton Smith sat on, pretty much he literally sat on Banks' face, I thought he would have broken his nose. Sending him outside, Smith with an tope con hilo. He sends Banks back, and then super kick to Banks for a 2 count. Smith running knee in the corner. Banks follows up and hits Smith with a running drop kick, then a German suplex for a 2 count. Elbows by Banks, then Smith's head, but Smith hulks up and he fires back. Jumping kick out of the corner, then the Kiwi Crusher for the 3 count, and Travis Banks is your winner like that. This match was, I swear, the shortest match of the entire night. That concluded the first round, so instead of going straight into the third round, or the semifinals, we had a triple threat match, which was supposed to be a fatal 4-way when they did the taping. It was probably a good thing they taped these instead of going live, because we had Toni Storm, Killer Kelly, and Isla Dawn, and there was supposed to be a fourth who ends up getting injured, so they scrapped that match. Triple H came, we'll talk about that in a minute, but Triple H came out, had his announcement for the show, and then this triple threat match happened, but they rearranged it for this show. So I think that women's match was supposed to happen completely, and then Triple H and Johnny Saint was supposed to come out. So Toni Storm versus Killer Kelly versus Isla Dawn. Winner faces Shayna Baszler on the next night. Wheelbarrow DDT to Storm at the start of the match. They wanted to make sure she was out because she was the more recognizable name, and I'm pretty sure Killer Kelly would probably have to have her name changed if she was to go anywhere near the main roster or over the U.S. version of NXT. Storm hits a German on Isla Dawn with a suplex on Storm. All women are down, then all start trading blows. Kelly with a PK on Dawn on the outside, tosses her back in, but Storm kicks Kelly off the apron. Storm 0 by Storm for the 3 count and stuff. Toni Storm moves on to night 2. Nothing really there. It was just a filler match so we could have a little bit of time for the second round to be for this 4 winners of the second round to move on to semifinals. So not a problem there. Baszler is shown in the crowd as Storm and Baszler have a little stare down. You see Baszler smirking, doing her spades symbol in her hands, looking like a little bitch that she is. I love that shit. Triple H is out, and the crowd sings along with Triple H's theme music, which is funny. You will not find ever a crowd as rabid and as hyped as a UK crowd. Philadelphia does good, New York does good sometimes, Chicago's on fire, but this is always the best crowd you will ever see. Triple H is out, and he brings out Johnny Saint. They announced NXT UK, which we did talk about this last week on, I'm pretty sure it was last week, last week on Unscripted. It's going to be starting its tapings in July 28th and 29th. I'm pretty sure they're going to have July, August, September, October, and I believe November, all these next few months. There is no information on when this is going to start being shown or where it's going to be shown. Hopefully it'll be on the WWE Network. And my opinion, we'll probably see the UK division probably on Wednesdays before NXT, because there is a 5-hour difference, and you want to try and have this on while the UK fans are up. So I could see maybe WWE UK being on during the day, Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure. Round 3, we have Flash Morgan Webster versus Zach Gibson. Gibson does shake his, does look like he shakes Webster's hand, but he just holds on to it to, play a little mind games. Running Shining Wizard by Webster, rocking Gibson, and he just lays in the haymakers, and then on the outside, running swinging Hurricane to Gibson on the outside. Then he hits a drop kick in the corner for a 2 count. Flash Morgan Webster came out for this match and just went all over Zach Gibson. I was like, damn, this guy looks like he definitely wants to win this match. Wow. Gibson flying catches Webster and hits a snake eyes, then stomps the hell out of him. Gibson with a ripcord lariat on the corner, then a cobra on Webster. Crowd with a loud chant towards the guys. The one thing about the UK crowd is half the time I can't understand what they're saying. I mean, it's just like their chants are just so unique, and I just don't understand what they're saying at the time. I can imagine that because these will be tape shows, the crowd volume probably will be pulled down just a little bit because they get very very loud. Submission blocked Webster in the corner with a running moonsault, reverse DDT for a 2 count. Gibson stops Webster, but a forearm smash by Webster sends him to the outside. Suicide dive from the bottom in the middle rope. Then the second one is caught, and Gibson hits a helter-skelter on the outside. Webster barely beats the count. Gibson gets the Shangli gates in, and he taps immediately. So this might have actually been, this was probably the shortest match of the round. And like when I think back on it, this match was probably shorter than Ashton Smith, but this one kind of was a little disappointing because of the fact that it was so quick. You had a helter skelter. He comes back in, and Shanley Gates is on, and that was it. Yeah. Joe Coffey versus Travis Banks. I was disappointed in this because my pick was Joe Coffey. I wanted Joe Coffey to win this thing from the start, plain and simple. But with the fact that how the results of this entire thing went, and with the match the next night, Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey will make their presence known on night 2. They lock up, and Joe Coffey gets Banks in the corner. They break. Coffey gets an arm wrench on Banks, who drags his way out of that. By the way, Joe Coffey ribs are still hurt from the previous match. He is not taped up, which was probably just so he didn't have to be. Those ribs wouldn't have been a target the entire time, but you could tell when he was walking down to the ring for this match, he was like feeling the effects of this match with Dave Mastiff. Banks with the slap to Coffey, and they both start trading blows. Coffey with the shots at the corner. Shoulder tackle by Coffey sends Banks flying. Double underhook giant swing, which, that's gotta hurt. Then a butterfly suplex for a 2 count. Banks kicking away at Coffey, but kicks to Banks from Coffey in the corner. Banks with some chops to Coffey. Sunset flip by Banks. Coffey rolls through and puts him in a single leg crab. Coffey with the straight jacket. Then a knee to the back of Banks. Banks tries to escape, but Coffey brings him to his knees. Hammerlock by Coffey, who fires Banks into the ropes, and a shot to Banks' back. Now Coffey with the shots to Banks while he is down. Banks fights back with some of his own shots. Chops by Banks, then a super kick to Coffey, followed by a PK kick on the outside. Running knee by Banks for a 2 count. Pop-up uppercut, then a running battering ram, then a splash, but Banks kicks out of the corner. Coffey with a pop-up power slam for a 2 count. German suplex bridge gets Coffey a 2 count as well. Both men are down, struggling to get up. Drop kick into the corner. Springboard double stomp for a 2 count by Banks. Banks looks for the Kiwi driver, crusher, but Banks can't hold Coffey up. Joe Coffey starts working on the back because Travis Banks' back has now been compromised. Elbow by Coffey, double springboard crossbody miss. Banks picks him up, but a chop by Coffey, boots by Banks, who rolls up Coffey for a 3 count. And Travis Banks moves on. Post-match, Joe Coffey hits with the shot to the back of Travis Banks, and then he runs his shoulder into the ring post because, again, I've seen that a million times. Black Coffey laying out Travis Banks, and that was that. Joe Coffey remains a heel. Now, I was disappointed in the second round. The second round really, not the second round, the semifinals was really a disappointment. For the simple fact that Flash Morgan Webster versus Zach Gibson ended so abruptly, and this one ended in just a cheesy fashion. Roll up by Travis Banks when the match was just kept kicking into high gear, and then you had Travis Banks do the twist over, roll over, 1, 2, 3, and it's like, what the fuck just happened? I'm sitting here like, what? Wow, that was quick. So I know there was like a 20-minute time limit for the first round, 25-minute time limit for the 2 rounds on here was 20 and then 25, and of course the finals will have no limit. But they could have made these matches last a little bit longer, in my opinion. British Strong Style versus the Undisputed Era. Trent Seven takes the heat for the majority of this match after the British Strong Style had the hard start. Dunn tags in and he goes crazy on everyone in Undisputed Era. Bate has Cole in the Fireman's Carry and drops Strong and gets him into a giant swing at the same time. Tyler Bate showing off his strength by having Adam Cole in the airplane spin. He trips up Roger Strong and in the same time airplane spins him around with a Cesaro swing. Dude's got some superior strength, and the dude's only 20 years old, I think, 2021. Great match, too much to call. Clothesline Dragon Sleeper combo by Mustache Mountain for the win, and your winners are British Strong Style. HBK comes out here to gets a one more match chance, goes over his history about the fact that he would wrestle the first match in Royal Albert Hall for the WWE back in 1991, and that he's proud to be part of NXT and the NXT UK division. So, a couple words from Shawn Michaels. The fact that the crowd started chanting one more match, and it's like, you guys got to stop doing that. Well, Shawn, you went out and put words out that you said that you would like you would be up to having one more match. So if you put it in people's heads that you're all for one more match, it just has to be under the right circumstances. When you show your face, people are going to start chanting one more match. So if you don't want people to chant one more match, don't give them a reason to. Zach Gibson versus Travis Banks. This was a great match, in my opinion. This was a great match. This was the best match of the tournament. Gibson shakes off Banks' handshake, the bell rings, and we're underway. Gibson with some trash talking from the start. He's like, don't worry about the fans. Don't worry about them. This is between me and you or whatever. I don't know exactly what he says. Don't hear them because the crowd was so rabid. They lock up and Gibson goes for the left arm because it has been taped up. Travis Banks is taped up from the attack from Joe Coffey earlier in the night. Gibson again goes for the left arm. Banks again in the ropes. Banks with the kicks to the thigh of Gibson, and Banks takes Gibson down with a side headlock. But Gibson transitions that to work on the left arm. Chops by Banks, sends Gibson down. Lock up and in the corner, Gibson works on the left arm, but Banks with the shots to Gibson, then chops and kicks to the chest of Gibson. They fight on the outside, forearm to Banks' face. They fight on the outside again, and Gibson gets in first, and Banks barely beats the count. Gibson drops the left elbow on the barricade, then into the steel steps. Gibson on the attack on the left shoulder, just having his way with Banks. Gibson with the stomp on Banks' injured arm. Gibson with more punishment to Banks. Banks fires back, and they start trading blows. Banks is just getting his arm worked on the entire match. This match was all about how much pain could Travis Banks sustain in that left injured arm, and he sustained a lot. Kicks to Gibson's knee, sending him in the corner, then a drop kick to the back of Gibson in the corner. Suicide dive by Banks to Gibson, back in and running knee strikes for a count of 2. Banks with the falling double stomp for a 1 count. Gibson kicks the injured arm, then a lung blower for a 2 count. An apron suplex blocked into knee strikes. Double thrust chops Banks, tossed into the barricade, turns that into a roundhouse kick on the outside. I believe he calls that a little slice of heaven, which is pretty cool. Both men beat the count. Both men trade forearms while on wobbly legs. These guys look like they are spent from wrestling 3 matches in one night. Slap by Gibson rocks Banks with his own slap and starts slapping each other. Forearms by Gibson, kicked by Banks. Yes, kicks by Banks. Slowly, Gibson catches the third, and Banks just stomps him away. Gibson hits the divorce court on Banks' arm. I have no idea why this move is called the divorce court. I can't even explain to you what this move is, but Marvin Ellis said divorce court, so I'm going with it. Gibson goes for the Shangri Gates, but Banks gets out of it. Missed roundhouse kick. Gibson with the gates on Banks, looks to get out, and he gets to the ropes. Travis Banks then gets Gibson dropped on the outside, running double stomp off the apron, slice of heaven for a 2 count. Banks gets dropped, Gibson goes for the pin with him on the ropes, but the ref catches him. He was trying to pin him, roll him up, and pin him. He gets his feet on the rope, and the crowd got so loud that if the referee was so blind not to see it, the ref would have really looked stupid. The crowd really got so loud that Gibson was going to probably win this match with rolling up Travis Banks. Running lariat by Banks hits the Kiwi Crusher for a 2 count. I thought it was over. Kiwi Crusher, it's over. No. Gibson exits the ring. Banks goes and gets caught with a suicide dive back inside. Gibson hits the Helter Skelter for a 2 count. I believe it was off the ropes, too. Right away, Gibson gets the Shangri Gates on Banks, tries to get out, but Gibson stops that, and Banks taps out. Winner and number 1 contender is Zach Gibson. After the match, out came Triple H, Johnny Saint, and Shawn Michaels to shake his hand, pose with him in the ring. He gets the mic. He's about ready to say something when Pete Dunne comes out. They have a little bit of a stare down, and that was the end of night one. Night one, pretty good. Round the second round, which would have been the first round on the show, was okay. Ashton Smith, I have no idea why he was even there. That guy was just useless. The semifinals, second round on the show, was very disappointing because both matches, I think, ended way too quick. The Flash Morgan Webster and Zach Gifford match ended like it was just abruptly. Like maybe somebody was like Flash Morgan was injured, quote unquote, and they needed to end the match. I don't know. It just felt like they went to the finish way too fast. And then of course with Joe Coffey getting rolled up in that quick fashion, I was like, what? This match is just getting hard. Why are they ending this match now? But yet they did, and that was that. The match of the night for me was Zach Gibson versus Travis Banks. I don't care what anyone says. That was a darn good match. But that was night one. And we get on to night two. This was pretty much NXT takeover, US, like United Kingdom Championship. They even used the NXT opening theme for the opening of this show. It was just like it was a normal NXT show, which will of course be tomorrow. Today. I can't remember. You will see this on Wednesday. But yeah, that's how they opened the show. So it was literally like an NXT show with every title except for the NXT Championship on the line. And of course we had the UK Championship. We also had King Ricochet, EC3 versus the EC3 and Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet and Aleister Black. And Johnny Saint decided, since, well, we already have a number one contender for the UK Championship, we're going to have another number one contenders match, a triple threat match, or so we think. We'll get to that later. Mustache Mountain versus the Undisputed Era NXT Tag Team Championship match. I don't need to say anything about this match, and WWE spoiled this the night it happened. I don't have to say anything. This match was the shock of the night of the weekend, probably for everybody who was at the Royal Albert Hall. Mustache Mountain are your NXT Tag Team Champions. Let me see here. There was a lot of NXT UK chants in the crowd, or UK NXT. Match came to an end when Strong tags in. Action Smash hits this time. 7 makes the save. 7 sent to the outside. Rolling kick by Strong. As O'Reilly hits Strong. 7. Rolling kick on the Strong after O'Reilly goes and ends up running into Roderick Strong. Strong tags in. 7-star lariat to O'Reilly. Knee drop off the torture rack. Knee drop combo. And we have new NXT Tag Team Champions, which is Mustache Mountain. Now, I didn't read the spoilers. I don't want to read the spoilers. I'll know as we get towards the end of the thing. I don't think Mustache Mountain will be NXT Tag Team Champions going into Brooklyn. I'm sure Undisputed Era will become the second team to be 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. Now, I noticed when Bobby Fish went down, and you had O'Reilly join, not O'Reilly, but Strong join the Undisputed Era. Him and Kyle O'Reilly seem to have a lot more mistakes than you ever saw with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, Dread Dragon. So I wonder if Roderick Strong's end up, like, after, Bobby Fish comes back, maybe if Roderick Strong gets kicked out because him and Kyle O'Reilly don't have the, chemistry that a Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly do. Because it just seems like every time these guys lose a match, it's because O'Reilly and Strong end up inadvertently running into each other, and that's what happened here tonight. Killian Kelly versus Charlie Morgan. Who really cared? This was one of those filler matches I didn't care about. Charlie Morgan wins with a roll-up. Triple threat match for the new number one contendership for the UK Championship. I don't know when this title match is going to take place, but it's Mark Andrews versus Flash Morgan versus Travis Banks. Before the match comes out, Johnny Saint makes his way out of the ring. He makes us a fatal 4-way by introducing the fourth competitor, who is No Am Dar. The Champagne Supernova is back, and hopefully part of the UK division, because he was doing nothing in the 205 Live division. The This one was won by Noam Dar. There were Dar War chants in the crowd. If you do not know what Dar War chants are, it's when they just repeat Dar 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 Dar. Those are like but his whole thing in the Independence was he was from Dar Wars. It was like Star Wars, Dar Wars. You know, there was actually in his What Culture Pro Wrestling entrance video, there would be somebody dressed up as Yoda. And he did the whole Star Wars thing. It was just, he must be a huge Star Wars fan. But he ended up winning this match when he hit a, let's see, double underhook by Morgan, but a slice of heaven to Morgan from Travis Banks. He rolls out of the ring. Creepy Crusher reversed into a Slumdog Millionaire. Andrew goes up and misses a shooting star press. Banks in the corner, but Dar drags his arm on the rope. Dar hits the running, leaping kick for a 3 count, and Noam Dar is your winner. After the match, Joe and Mark Coffey run to the ring and beat the hell out of Travis Banks and Mike Andrews and slash Morgan Webster because Noam Dar was gone. He ended up exiting the ring. They come out, they beat the hell out of everyone except for Noam Dar. He's out of Dodge and leaves the others to Coffees. So Joe and Mark Coffey making a statement saying, listen, Mustache Mountain is not the only tag team in this division because you have the Coffey brothers. It's great to see that they didn't just leave Mark behind and him and Joe Coffey are together. I mean, yes, Joe Coffey's been off on his own. You know, Mark Coffey joined with Johnny Polo and made the Polo. I can't remember what the hell the tag team name was. It was Polo Production, Polo something. It was something to do with Polo. It was him and Johnny Polo in ICW, I believe. It was also in What Culture Pro Wrestling at one time, too. But to see the Coffey brothers, who were a tag team at one time, too, in WCPW and probably ICW and others, great to see what they're going to do together. Wolfgang was with Kathy Kelly in the back. Wolfgang says he's been waiting a year to break Cole's teeth, and tonight he's going to take his title. Wolfgang looking pumped. I know that, now the fact that, you know, Mustache Mountain and the British Strong Style beat the Undisputed Era the night before, that I can understand why they got a tag team championship match. Tony Storm earned the right to take on Shayna Baszler in a triple threat match. Why is out of the blue is Wolfgang getting a North American Championship match? This is the one that didn't make any sense to me. You had, like I said, Tony Storm win a triple threat match. You had Mustache Mountain pin one of the tag team champions last night. So it made sense why those two title matches were happening. Why did Wolfgang, out of all three of these challengers, get a title match is beyond me. I'm not saying the match was bad. This was a pretty damn good match, but I'm just saying. Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era are supposed to be bona fide heels. They are over every fucking where they go. Adam Cole was the babyface in this. Wolfgang had to play the heel, even though Wolfgang is from over in the UK. He was booed for everything he did, and Adam Cole was the babyface who was cheered for everything he did. This guy is over like Rover. Bell remains and Wolfgang with the advantage at the start. Forearm from Wolfgang rocking Cole. Back body drop blocked by Cole leads to a neck breaker. Cole stomps a mud hole to Wolfgang in the corner, followed by a rude awakening. That's what they said. I don't know exactly if it was Rick Rude's finisher, but that's what they said. Cole gets caught in the corner and a gut buster by Wolfgang for a 2 count. Wolfgang with more punishment on the ropes. Waistlock takedown by Wolfgang, then another one. Fans booing Wolfgang heavily. I don't like. They say this would be what you would call Bizarro World, I guess. But the fact that people like Adam Cole is so good in the ring, you can't boo the guy. You can't boo the guy. He is just one of those guys that he could play a heel, but unless he's going up against like a Daniel Bryan or a Johnny Gargano or somebody like that, or an AJ Styles when AJ Styles is a babyface. Adam Cole is going to be a babyface. It doesn't matter. He could go up against Tommaso Ciampa and he would be like heavily cheered. He can go up against Ricochet, and I'm sure Ricochet and him would get dueling chants. It's just Adam Cole is that good. Where was I at? Oh, elbow by Cole, but Wolfgang gets him up. Cole gets to the apron, and a shot by Wolfgang sends Cole to the outside. Jumping kick by Cole to Wolfgang. And when I mean jumping kick, like leaping kick or jumping kick to Wolfgang, Adam Cole was on the floor on the outside. Wolfgang had his head between the ropes, the middle and top rope. He's like sitting there trying to grab Adam Cole. Adam Cole leaps up and actually kicks the guy in the head. It was a hell of a jump for Adam Cole at his size to be able to go from the floor on the outside and get Wolfgang from that high, with like Wolfgang having the upper advantage. I mean, it's one thing if you're standing on the apron and they're standing on the other side and you leap up, but this dude was at least 5 feet below, in like 5 feet below where Wolfgang was standing. Cole on the ropes and he jumps in. He needs a gut buster. That had to hurt because you could just, they had it, the camera focused on Adam Cole after this, and he could just hear the pain coming out of his mouth. Wolfgang stomps away on Cole as the crowd boos him heavily. Cole fights back with knees to the gut of Cole. Shoulder thrust to Cole in the corner. Wolfgang plays to the crowd. He's like, you could hear, he has his fingers to his ear, and he's like, he can hear the boos, so he just goes, you know what, you guys want to cheer him? I'm going to go beat him up even more. Running crossbody in the corner, Wolfgang goes up top and he eats a super kick out of the corner. I don't know what he was going for, but he just like jumps up and comes down and eats a super kick. Cole blocks and has a forearms to Wolfgang, then he finally takes down Wolfgang. Back up and missing a step up Enziguri, backstabbed by Cole for a 2 count. Undisputed chant in the crowd. Cole goes for a fireman's carry, but can't get it. Leaping Enziguri, Cole gets him up and hits the Yoshi-Goroshi for the 2 count. Cole gets Wolfgang up, but Wolfgang with a wasteland goes for a moonsault, misses it. Cole hit to his feet, hits a kick to the face, then another one, then a third one. Wolfgang hits a lariat, both men are down. Wolfgang goes up and tries to go for the howling, gets blocked by the knees of Adam Cole, drops Wolfgang on his neck, last shot by Cole for the 3 count, and Adam Cole is your winner. After the match, he does his Adam Cole. He's about ready to leave. He's sitting down, trying to grab his title to leave, and all you hear is one more time, one more time, one more time. So what's Adam Cole do? He plays up to the crowd and does it again after, does a couple laps around the ring, come on, pulling his hand, trying to get the crowd to get louder and louder, and then he does the Adam Cole. So Adam Cole is one of the most over guys in the company right now, and I can't wait to see what this guy does, and I don't know how long he's going to hold that not North American Championship, but he did not lose it on this day. In the back, Kathy Kelly was the tag team champion, celebrating the fact that they went out there and just won the tag team championships, and they're excited for doing this. Honestly, I think they're going to be the first ever WWE NXT UK Tag Team Champions. What those belts are going to look like, I have no idea, or when they're going to be instituted, but they are going to probably be the first Tag Team Champions or the Coffee Brothers, and I think those two are going to be the ones fighting for those titles the first time around. Aleister Black and Ricochet versus EC3 and the Velveteen Dream. This was interesting because the start of the match, you had Ricochet and the Velveteen Dream. They were in the beginning of the match. It looked like they were going to come blow to blow. He pulls off his first shirt that he has. He's like, no, I want Aleister Black. Aleister Black comes in. He takes his other shirt off, throws it at Aleister Black. Aleister Black goes to put it away, and he tags in EC3. So it was EC3 and Aleister Black, which I'm going to say right now. People are talking about bringing Velveteen Dream up. No, he needs to stay where he is. EC3, I would not be surprised by the end of this year if EC3 is on SmackDown or Raw and Aleister Black is on the other one. Honestly, I don't think EC3 needs to be in NXT very long, just like Adam Cole doesn't need to be in NXT anymore. NXT is for the young up-and-comers and to transition the indie stars to the WWE. And EC3's been here before when he was Derek Bateman, and Aleister Black's been there for over a year. I'm saying by SummerSlam, I would not be surprised if TakeOver Brooklyn is their swan songs, and you see EC3 and Aleister Black make their Raw or SmackDown debut, one or the other for both of them. Just saying it. It just feels like EC3 does not need to be in NXT for very long. This match hadn't even started, and we get a "This is awesome" chant. The "This is awesome" chant's fine. Go chant whatever you want, but hold your breath, hold your tongue, and don't be chanting "This is awesome" until halfway through an awesome match. Yes, this match was great. This match was good, but don't do it yet. Finally, they lock up. Black rolls over EC3's back and sits Indian style playing some mind games. EC3 kick is blocked into a roll up for a 2 count. Dream tags in some shots to EC3. Then EC3 tags in, diving crossbody by Ricochet. This match is good at this time. Ricochet and Black with their mind games to EC3 and Dream. Dream drops Ricochet on the apron. EC3 takes over and drives his face onto the apron. Dream tags in, double axe handle to Ricochet's arm. Then Dream beats the hell out of Ricochet in the corner, stiff shots over and over. Dream with a psych look. Ricochet was on the outside, and the Velveteen Dream gets on the turnbuckle. Looks like he's about ready to do a dive to the outside. He's like, nah, just wait. He pulls his arms up and just waves and drops down. Like, psych, I'm not doing that. It says, tags in EC3, who tosses Ricochet back in and gets a 2 count, then a top wrist lock. Ricochet tags in Black, but the ref was distracted, so Black is not illegally tagged in, which I hate the inconsistency from WWE when it comes to this maneuver. Like, you have sometimes where the referee is going to see it. I know it's supposed to be like maybe a heel tactic, they're supposed to do that or not. I don't know, but it's just a little ridiculous that you always see you see the referee sitting there like, oh no, you can't come in because, like, be consistent, man. Just be consistent. Anyway, EC3 tags in Scoop Slam Dream, and EC3 argue, and EC3 tags in Dream. Ricochet fights back. Both men keep him from Black. Neckbreaker DDT combo as Dream had EC3 tossed into him. Black tags in and goes after Dream all ham on EC3 from behind, but Black with the black backflip splash. Both men for a 2 count. Black mask gets blocked. Dream with a spinebuster out of the corner. Dream goes up. Purple Rainmaker gets stopped. He was going for the Purple Rainmaker, and for whatever reason, he just gets wobbly and he comes back down, and it looks like he tweaked his knee. That would come in the factor to the end of this match. Purple Rainmaker stopped by Dream as Giant tags in. Clothesline by EC3 for a 2 count. Dream tags in. Double team move. Super kick into the original 1%er. If you ever saw EC3, which it looked like what Dean Ambrose's old Dirty Deeds was, when he takes them, he has his head wrapped around them, and then he just he drives the head straight forward down. That was the 1%er in TNA. For a 2 count, Dream looks injured. All men are down after kicks to EC3. Then, what happened was EC3 had a hold of Ricochet. Velveteen Dream goes to kick him. Ricochet moves out of the way. EC3 catches him. Ricochet boots EC3 in the face. Super kick by Velveteen Dream to EC3, and then a running knee to Velveteen Dream by Aleister Black. Everybody's down. This is awesome chant from the crowd. This is the appropriate time for this. Is awesome chant. Dream brings Black to the apron. Ricochet tope Cojino. Back in Dream with the DDT for a 2 count. Ricochet tags in, who rolls up Dream for a 2 count. Heads out, springboard reverse into a roll up for a 2 count. Rolling Death Valley Driver, which looks like, you can just tell when he hit that rolling Death Valley Driver, it looked like Velveteen Dream was hurt. It did. It looked like Velveteen Dream was hurt. 1% block, standing shooting star press for a 2 count. EC3 moves out of the way of a 450 driver, and of a 450, a driver by EC3. He goes over to tag Dream in, but Dream starts walking away, and because he's injured, unbeknownst to EC3, who's like, what are you doing? I will end you. What are you doing? Aleister Black is sizing him up from behind. He turns around. Black Mask, 1, 2, 3. Your winners are Ricochet and Aleister Black. Post-match, Ricochet actually grabs the NXT title from the referee, and he's looking it up and down, like, you know what? I want to go for this sometime. Hands it off to Aleister Black, and fist bump, and that was the end of that match. So, I heard somewhere that this match will play into a segment on tonight's NXT taping. So, I don't know what's going on. We'll find out when we get to NXT tonight, which will be interesting. Is the first set of the next set of tapings, which will be 4 weeks, and I expect sometime in there for the Undisputed Era to regain the NXT Tag Team Championships for the second time, and the second time they would win the titles on NXT TV. Shayna Baszler versus Toni Storm NXT Women's Championship match. Of course, if anyone did hear me earlier, Shayna Baszler had her opponent decided the night before when Toni Storm beat Kayla Kelly and Isla Dawn. These two apparently had a match in Japan years ago. The bell rings, and here we go. They're sizing each other up. Storm with a front face lock on Baszler. Side headlocks. Takeover by Baszler. Storm with the head scissors on Baszler. Baszler out and into the side headlock. Storm gets out easily. Storm took it to Shayna Baszler, unlike I think anybody else has at this time. The only chance for these women, both women are over. Storm pull over for a 1 count. Baszler with some mat wrestling. Storm with a hip lock, but Baszler reversed and backed Storm into the ropes. She backs off and kicks Storm's foot. Then some showboating. Storm with a kick to Baszler, sending her outside, and a tope suicida to the outside. Then an uppercut to Baszler. Then a stomp to Baszler on the outside. Running kick miss. Then Baszler with a quick run into the ring. You know how Baron Corbin would slide out of one side and slide to the inside. Well, she did the reverse. Instead of sliding outside and sliding and then going around in, she slid inside and then slid back outside, breaking the count because, making sure she doesn't get counted out so she can actually win the match even though she has championship advantage. Storm beats the count, seems rocked, chop blocks by Baszler to the back of Storm's knee. Now Baszler's working on the knee, then a knee to the body of Storm. Baszler gets a 2 count. Full mount by Baszler. Now Baszler works on the injured leg, bending Storm's knee up, then twists the ankle. I'm sorry, what? Shayna Baszler doing all these twists and turns is just really, really disturbing. I'm just going to say it. Really, really disturbing. She can really hurt, make you cringe at what she does. Baszler all over Storm's leg. Baszler does what she's done to many other women, and she stomps on Toni Storm's leg. Foot looks to be in pain. Baszler just destroying Storm's leg now. Tries to Irish whip Storm, but Storm... She has her in the corner. She goes to Irish whip her, and Storm takes 2 steps and just crumples over with her bad knee. Storm slaps Baszler and catches her kick, then a snap German suplex by Storm. Corner hip attack by Storm. Now up top, Baszler stops that. Baszler fights her gut wrench suplex, but Baszler for a 2 count. Baszler all over Storm, but she locks in the knee bar, but Storm fights her off. Goes for the German, but couldn't get it off. Headbutt by Storm, then a Storm Zero. She actually got the Storm Zero off, but the fact that she did it on her injured leg, she could not get the count immediately, so she eventually does crawl over, and Baszler does kick out. So, to me, it doesn't make the move look weak, the Storm Zero look weak, the fact that she couldn't get it immediately. If she was able to, hit Storm Zero once, she would have been 1, 2, 3 and done. But the fact that she had to sit there and try and, she had too much pain in her knee, and then she eventually crawls over, protects that move. Headbutt by Storm, a 2 count. Baszler step up knee strike for a 2 count. Clutch block. The curve through the clutch block Storm with a roll up for a 2 count. Baszler gets the curve through the clutch in, and Storm eventually gets to the ropes. Are you kidding me? Baszler gets back to the outside. She puts the curve through the clutch on Storm for about a few minutes, pretty much just making her pass out. Baszler gets back in the ring. Storm is left to the outside. Cannot beat the count, and Shayna Baszler wins by count out. Not the best way for the match to end, but she did win the match. So it does make Toni Storm does not weaken Toni Storm, because Toni Storm, I think, is going to be the first women's champion of the UK division. It just makes sense. NXT UK is going to have Mustache Mountain and Toni Storm, in my opinion, get the new titles when they first come out. Post-match, Baszler comes back in the ring and puts Storm back into the Karafuda clutch after she uses the Karafuda driver, making her pass out again. That was that for the NXT regular brand of everything. Then we get Zach Gibson versus Pete Dunne. Yes, Zach Gibson versus Pete Dunne. This match starts in Gibson just talking some trash. They lock up and down with the attack on the left arm. Joint manipulation early. This was by far the best match of the UK stars, period. This was great. Early, joint manipulation early. Dunne jams Gibson's finger on the mat. I'm sorry, that just has to look like it hurts. Gibson goes to attack the left arm, and Dunn moves out of the way. He looks like he's going to stomp on it, which, of course, is something that Pete Dunne would do. So Pete Dunne's not happy about that, period. Close by Dunn. Oh, Gibson goes to the attack and left arm. The fans are rabid for this match. This match is definitely what they came to see, was the championship on the line, because this is the UK show. Clothesline by Dunn, Gibson on the apron, but Gibson with the elbow to Dunn. But Dunn kicks Gibson's arm on the rope. You know, when someone ends up, this is like the umpteenth time I've seen him do this, but when someone's like down below the apron on the outside and they have their arm just leaning on the rope, he'll go over and kick it, you know, add a little bit of damage to that. Which, I guess the only reason he would be attacking Gibson's arm so the Shangri Gates can't be put in, because the arm really for him does not come into a factor in the end of the match, in my opinion. But Dunn kicks Gibson drops Dunn on the apron, then tosses Dunn into the barricade shoulder first. He's working on the left shoulder, so when he puts the Shangri Gates on, he will be able to put that thing in and win the match. Back body drop in the ground and pound by Gibson. Gibson gets a 1 count, then an armbar double wrist lock but Dunn fish hooks Gibson. Gibson with an arm-wringing suplex. Gibson slaps Dunn. Dunn slaps back, but Gibson attacks cross face cover for a 2 count. Gibson rocks Dunn. He talks trash. Dunn, who catches Gibson and headbutts him, rocking Gibson. I'm sorry, again, headbutts gotta go, but these guys, like, I'm surprised they didn't give themselves concussions with how much how hard they hit each other in the head. Dunn with a strike, then a right cross by Dunn. Backflip out of the corner, step up into going in the corner, X-plex by Pete Dunne for a 2 count. German suplex, Dunn lands on his feet, kick to the back of Gibson's head, then a Kimura lock with the leg vice. Gibson counters that. Dunn counters what should be a suplex and hits a double stomp. Moonsault inverted DDT on the outside to Gibson. Pete Dunne showing off that he can fly too, because he is a bruiserweight. Gibson gets caught with the X-plex on the ramp. Both men barely beat the count. Gibson with a forearm taking Dunn down. Gibson with a body shots in the corner again and again and again. Gibson on the attack. Dunn back up and clubbing blows by Dunn, but a lung blow by Gibson, then a kick by Dunn, then a lariat by Gibson, followed by a lariat by Dunn, laying both men out again. Door manipulation by both men, headbutts back and forth. These guys, like I said, with how many headbutts these two gave each other in this sequence alone, I'm surprised both of them do not have a concussion after last week. I'm sorry. Like, they were just hitting each other back and forth in the head. How both men do not have a concussion. Both men end up falling down. And Zach Gibson almost fell onto Pete Dunne. The referee is getting down on his knees to count the pinfall, but he ends up falling, had his head land on Pete Dunne. If he would have slipped a little bit to the right, he would have been able to pin Pete Dunne, but he slips to the other way and just falls down beside him. Mauro Ranallo thought that Gibson still had Pete Dunne by the hand, but it was actually Pete Dunne who had the grip on Gibson's hand, because that was the one that Pete Dunne was manipulating. Snap German by Dunne, bitter end for a 2 count. He hits a bitter end and Gibson kicks out. Not a fan of I'm not a fan. I know it's one of those matches where you gotta have that excitement, but I don't like when finishers that have been so protected before this get kicked out of. Enzuigiri by Gibson, then a jumping lung blow for a 2 count. Shangri Gates by Gibson, but Dunne does get to the ropes. Sit down Nigel chant from the crowd. I guess Nigel McGuinness was getting up and excited for this match. Forearm in the corner by Dunne. He looks for a superplex helter skelter off the top rope for a 2 count by Gibson. He does put the Shangri Gates back on, but Dunne tries to fight out, but Gibson puts him back in it again. Dunne crawls out and gets to the ropes again. This is awesome chant. Gibson with a boot to Dunne on the ropes. Gibson with a taunt to Dunne and slaps as well. But Dunne grabs Gibson's hand and finger snaps right forearm out of the corner. Bitter end again for the 3 count winner. And still, you NXT United Kingdom champion. You might as well just call it the NXT United Kingdom Championship, because it's the NXT UK brand. That's what you call it. Pete Dunne wins. At the end, everyone in the division makes their way to the ring, even guys who weren't on this show or the previous show, from Ligero to other ones as well. I think I saw Joseph Connors too. Triple H comes out and says, "This is the next chapter in the history of United Kingdom Wrestling. This is your time. This is your brand. And we are NXT," as they go off the air. This was, by far, anything we saw on Raw and SmackDown didn't hold a candle to what we saw the last 2 days on these shows. Nothing from Raw and SmackDown could hold a candle for what we saw on Monday and Tuesday. This was, by far, a great show. And yes, night 1 was the championship tournament. Night 2 was an NXT takeover, pretty much. It pretty much was. You had 4 title matches. You had everybody who was a champion in action on this show. And it was about 2.5 hours long, which is about relatively normal for an NXT takeover. So this was like a mini NXT takeover without being called an NXT takeover. They even did, like I said, the NXT Wednesday night NXT theme song and everything for this show. So in my book, it was an NXT takeover. But if you definitely have not seen this and you're on the fence about it, you should go check this entire thing out. Like I said, the tournament was not as good as last year, not even close. This tournament, like the first round, which was on their YouTube channel, and most of those matches fell flat to me anyway. Ashton Smith, I don't know what they were even thinking about giving him a pass on Joseph Connors. I don't care. Ashton Smith was just a waste of time. The second round, the third round, the quarterfinals or the semifinals was a big disappointment because both matches ended before I think they should have. The championship, the finals and the championship match were the 2 best matches of the entire show, the entire 2 days. And of course, the fact that Mustache Mountain won tag team titles is surprising because we don't know when the NXT Tag Team Championship, the NXT UK Tag Team Championships will be awarded or started. So we'll have to wait and see. But that is your NXT United Kingdom Championship tournament finals and NXT Takeover United Kingdom Championship show. That is night 1 and 2 of this entire event. My name is TheFrance. Find me on Twitter at TheFrance. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFranceCOA. Make sure to hit follow on both of those channels. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Hit that like button. Comment down below. Turn on those notifications. Let me know what you thought of night 1 and night 2. Do you agree that Zach Gibson was the #1 contender for the UK Championship, or would you have rather seen somebody else? And when will Noam Dar get his UK Championship title match? These questions and more as we look forward to the future of the NXT UK brand coming soon. Until then, I'm out of here.